subconscious mind. And then we had Riley and Carmen. They're a little bit crazy, but they're wonderful children. Um, uh, but I want you everyone to understand as well. I am not perfect, right? I know, nor do I ever believe anyone to truly be perfect. I have my own fallbacks, as we do all. But like I said, today is more about um, things we can do. Maybe you're not the kind of person that needs to go to a therapist. I, but I believe everyone should experience it once, and using that as a template and as a tool to move forward in your own mental health and life is always a good benefit to you. Strengthening of the mind. I have to believe that I did some early practices when I was younger. Me growing up, being a kid growing up in Kansas City, Missouri. Um, Kansas City, Missouri was, for a better word, very segregated and for a very, very, very long time. I did grow up in an environment where basically it was just me, right? I mean, not me, but um, when I really say it was just me, what I mean is it was just us. So what that means is probably until I was six, like 5 or 6, uh, I saw a person that wasn't of color. Um, and I mean, that wasn't on TV. We did have a TV, but that's the things that I grew up with, and I wouldn't really call it an infatuation. Um, I believe that it's more of I saw people for truly who they are, not what they could do for me in life. So, what I mean by that is there are a lot of things that we all face in our everyday lives. Sometimes, just sometimes, we need a little help. Sometimes people need a lot more help than we do. It could be from things previously in your life, it could be an event that's been happening with your significant other. I mean, it could be a divorce you're going through, it could be so many different interactions. Um, but I wanted to get on this subject because I was discussing something with a friend of mine the other day. And just so everyone knows, I don't like putting my business out in the street, but I am a recently divorced person. So, Riley, that you heard, he's my son. He is my youngest son. Like I said, Riley's 10, Carmen was 9. Uh, but like I said, the biggest thing is when I was going through it, and going through my emotional states, uh, I pretty much stopped being on social media altogether. I believe that was a turning point in my life because I needed to, as much as I didn't want to let go of my marriage, it wasn't up to me. And I want to say something to a lot of people. I was married for 15 years. Um, in the end, I'd like to say that it was mutual on the decision, but I don't believe the decision was really mutual. She was obviously the plaintiff. There were certain things that I held within myself. But before we go into any of this, I want you to understand that I did seek legal counsel. Um, there was an organization where I live. That organization is called Equal Rights for Divorced Fathers. Um, Believe it or not, with them on my side, uh, I got exactly what I wanted. Maybe not exactly what I needed, but I got. No, no, that's backwards. I apologize. I did get exactly what I wanted and what I felt like I needed. They didn't try to push me into anything. They were all gung ho. They were ready to go. They were really ready to look out for my rights, and that was a wonderful change. Um, because up until that point, I felt like everything was against me. There were so many things out there, you know. I mean, me myself, I have a lot of good friends. My good friends are my support group, as we say. You know, we all need them. My group of friends, they just happen to be, you know, intellectuals. It's kind of what we do. Like I said, I've been in the IT field for about 25 years. This right now, the podcast is more or less me reaching out to the world and sharing my experiences. Now, my goal is not to tell you to listen to my and hang on every single word I say. That is not what this podcast is about, guys. What this podcast is really about is you possibly listening and learning from my mistakes and making up your own mind to work it out. So, as we were talking about the conscious and subconscious mind, not the other day. Well, okay, maybe it was more than the other day, but it was about a week or so ago. With that thought process in mind, imagine building something, a fortitude in your own mind with those practices. Now, is it something that happens overnight? No. But as we all know, when we want to be stronger, what do? We work out with weights and we change our routines and we do things to strengthen our bodies. This is what we do. Oh, I need to lose those 10 pounds. You know, oh, I need to lose this 30 pounds. Oh, it's 2024. I need to lose these 50 pounds. And I do believe why a lot of people do fail in weight loss and things like that is because even though they think they're mentally prepared for what they need to do, they really don't look in depth. I was one of those people. I cannot lie. Like I said, a lot of the thought processes that I went through and a lot of the things that I interacted with in my younger years, uh, you would not think I was a professional if you knew the person. But I think we have all been through things and come back and been better. Um, I believe I want just everyone to understand what my core beliefs are, and this is what gets me through every day. Um, we're talking about the podcast. I don't want to talk about religion because that's not what I do. I mean, my choice in my own life was honestly, I would have to say I'm a Christian, and that's what I chose. At the end, I mean, me personally, obviously, when I was raised, my grandmother was raised Baptist, of course. Um, well, she was raised Catholic. My mother was raised Catholic. I was kind of raised in a Baptist church, but I went through all the same rigmarole. You know, you got to be all dressed up. You know, you got to look good. You got to act a certain way in church. I grew up with all those fallacies that were in the church in my younger years. I didn't know that's what they were, but my grandmother was very active in the church. So she was Eastern Star, amongst other things. With her being that person, um, my grandmother was, you knew what to expect and what level you were going to get. She was a very direct, no nonsense kind of person. but in private, she was such a loving person. She was also a nurse. Uh, that's what she did, and she worked in an old folks' home. Who knew? You know, she was a very wonderful person, very disciplinary though. But I don't want to get into all the yes. When I was younger, I did have my share of spankings. I would never tell anyone that they were spankings because they were not. There were many, great many things I got hit with at that age. But the world was, in essence, a little bit different. And I'd like to believe that that difference uh, shaped me into being the person I am today. A lot of her things and practices shaped who I was today. At a very young age, I could do hospital corners. When I was at the age of 4, I was already reading books. And we're not talking about child books. We're talking about the books and reading the words and being able to pronounce them properly. Apologize for that, guys. But like I was saying, what really it comes down to is early development. And I believe that's why, a lot of people say, "Oh, Mike, you're so smart. You're so intelligent. It's just you." And I'd like to believe it was just me, and I worked so hard to become this ultimately intelligent person. But there are some natural things that happened early on in my development that probably gave me a boost to everyone else. Now, I did follow those same practices with Riley. And for those same reasons, he is very articulate. And I have always been very, very on point with how to pronounce words and how to speak and how you speak to people. Um, uh, I know it didn't seem that way when Riley and Carmen were going at it, but I wanted them to have their own freedom too, because everybody can't forget this is a family project. Uh, I will be adding more family members as they could become available. I think there are still few people that are probably still a little shy and aren't sure if they can do an entire episode by themselves. Something I had to tell them, like, you don't have to do it by yourself. I'll do it with you, but um, but I think really getting them onto it, and because this is our third episode, I wanted to give everyone like a little bit of depth and understanding to who I am. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna give you guys a quick history lesson. Hopefully, it will not take the entire 30 minutes of this episode, but hopefully you'll get some good basis and understanding, and you'll be able to rapport with me and understand who I am and why I am today. Uh, like I said, at a very young age, I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. We talked about that before. Now I'm going to fast forward a few years. Um, so at about 5 or 6, we moved to Las Vegas. So moving to Las Vegas, obviously, Kansas City and Las Vegas are two very, very, very different places. But at such a young age, even when I moved to Las Vegas, because of my mindset and the environment that I grew up in, and I grew up in an environment where I could walk down the street at the age of 6 and feel 100% safe. Everyone knew who I was. I could walk at the age of 10, I could walk to my aunt's house, which I lived off of 37th and Bell Fountain. My aunt lived off of 27th and Askew. Askew was about 5 streets over and 10 blocks down. Um, I was actually capable of walking that by myself uh, and not feeling pressured, scared, or anything. Um, and I understand not all children have that ability to feel secure in that. But like I said, I grew up in a very secure environment where everybody knows everybody. So to me, that is the world any different? Um, I walked into the world with very open eyes. Um, something that I didn't say is on my real side. Uh, I had my own mentors even at a young age. Uh, I couldn't go a lot of places, and I really didn't think I would be going a lot of places. So one of the things I fell in love with is Bruce Lee and martial arts. Learning his abilities and what he could do, to me, he was just like the superheroes I saw in the comic books. He was doing fantastic things, and he was just a guy. Um, there was no movie magic back then, right? I mean, not really. I mean, there was, but that was the big thing about him. Like he did all his own stunts, things like that. So, and then later on, he also had books. Those books taught me personal understanding, and they also taught me a little bit of strength in my own life. Uh, I like I said, that was probably when I was like 7. We moved out to Las Vegas. They were here. We I was here for maybe 2 years. My father left after my father went back. I stayed for a whole another year. And then of course me being the stubborn little kid, I want to be with my father. My mom said, "Oh, you want to be with your father? Here, I'll send you to him." So I would, my sisters and my mom would stay behind in Las Vegas, and I would, at the age of 8, uh, go back to Kansas City with my grandmother. Um, my father at the time, and when I say my grandmother was my mother's mom. Um, I also had my father's mom, and I had to visit her on a pretty regular basis. So, but that's a whole nother story, guys. Um, and like I said, this is more of a discovery episode. Um, kind of getting to know me, and we're just sitting here chatting and talking. Um, and what my own discoveries in life as a young child, when I came back, one of the things that I experienced early on in his life was death, unfortunately. I don't believe any child should have to experience death early on in life, but the experience of it, it does change you. It changes your views. Uh, you have to believe it's the finality of it. Um, when you're able to deal with something on that level of a higher caliber and not truly understand. So, like I said, this is a little more sensitive in my feelings towards it. But so at the age of 9, uh, first, my father's mother passed away. I'm not sure what the event was about, and I'm still not sure today what she passed away from. And then a year later, my mother's mother passed away. Now, these were I'm going to be honest, they were two of the strongest women I had ever known in my life. My grandmother, she was a very strong willed, minded, and very faithful person. But something I learned later on in life without her being around and actually being able to sit down and talk to my mom about it and what kind of relationship I had with her and what she meant to me. Um, again, I'm not trying to talk to you guys about my 48 years of life, and squeeze it into this little 30-minute episode. But like I said, this is a discovery episode, guys. Uh, so once again, uh, I was actually there where my sisters hadn't experienced them getting sick, them losing themselves, losing uh, their grandparents. Me myself, my grandfather was never really around, at least on my mother's side, and my grandfather had passed away on my father's side before I was born. Um, so I never really got to know my grandfather, so I never had that. I had a lot of uncles. Um, on my mom's side, I had my uncle Junior, and I had my two aunts. So they were four siblings. On my dad's side, he had 11 siblings. Most of them were twins, and a few were children without twins. So, with that being said, I have a lot of aunts and uncles. So once again, I'm gonna just tell you guys where we were. I'm probably not gonna go into a lot of depth in this episode. I'm gonna just kind of leave you guys here, and then what I really want to do is I want to come back to this episode later on and really give you guys a good point of view, a good vision of who I was. So once again, I'm gonna fast forward. I'm gonna say, hey, both my grandmothers passed away. We went to the funeral. I saw her. She died of cancer, leukemia. Of course, that spread everywhere else. We learned later on that raid was actually the cause of it. Now, this was a very, very long time ago. The lawsuit was way over, and it was way out of the statute of limitations. At least that's what they told my mother. But because she was a gardener, she didn't realize that that stuff was causing poison. And like I said, things happen. So once again, she passed away, and I was very, very, very close to her. And after that, as a child, I had moments where she was there and I was there. Those moments were one time I remember my grandmother was at home, coming home every day, doing what she needed to do. I'm after school. Did you do what you were supposed to do? Yes, ma'am. I did what I was supposed to do. All right, cool. Sometimes could go outside. Sometimes I couldn't. It's just how she saw fit. But we always had neighbors looking out for us. That is the one thing, and I want to be thankful for that because a lot of children maybe not have that, or they're just stuck in the house and they want to go outside or they can't. It really comes down to personal aptitude and how that parent sees and the environment, whether that environment is friendly, whether it needs to be tough or unfriendly. It really depends on the person. But once again, everyone, I just wanted to say thank you for listening to this episode and understanding discovery in my life and how it's led me to be. All right, so after my grandmother passed away, obviously, after that, I was there for maybe a year. My mom had to leave. She came back. When she came back to get me, um, I ended up, they lost the house because of uh, something happened. I'm not going to get into that right now, but something happened. We ended up losing my grandmother's house. They wouldn't even let us pay it off. He just like, nope, 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 nope. So I believe it was a disagreement between him and possibly another family member. But I can't confirm or deny that. I'll leave it at that. That's obviously my own family drama. Um, but after that, I ended up leaving Kansas City. And who knew that I would be leaving Kansas City permanent? With that thought process in mind, you know, we first moved to Atlantic City. Atlantic City, New Jersey. My mom worked in casinos. She dealt with money a lot. That's kind of what she went to college for. That's what she did. So she dealt with finances. Of course, my mom was a very uh, math-oriented kind of person. She went to Catholic school. She actually got a 3.8 when she graduated high school. Um, Me, I had a little bit of a higher grade average, to be honest. Just taking a pop shot at you, Mom. Uh, Mom's not right here, guys, but I know she listens to the podcast. She is a wonderful person. I promise you, I would not be the person I am today without her. And I will, on this podcast, give all the praise to my mother for being the person she is. Even the mistakes she made developed me into being the man I am today. Whether that man is you know, whether I'm strong or whether I'm sensitive or I'm affectionate, or maybe it's just my capacity for empathy and my ability to understand, try to understand other people. Now, I can't understand everyone. I am not perfect. I am an intellectual that uh, really one of my main goals is being a good person, right? And I like being the sunshine in someone's day. Um, and once you understand the joy that it does bringing someone light to someone else, you truly understand why do you want to bring darkness, um, and you'll avoid it. And that's kind of what I was trying to get at. Like I said, discovery. Um, and my older sister actually told me, and we're gonna go back, and she actually told me that I'd rather hear it from a professional, as we were talking about the conscious and subconscious mind. Um, and don't get me wrong, my sister understands I am fully intelligent, and there is no question that I do not do my research and find out, and I make up my own mind in reality, not based off of in some book, because books can only take you so far. But it's the tools that they give you. You have to be able to take that into yourself, develop it, strengthen your own will, mind, and body. Those things are the things that help us push forward in life without our own self hope of I can get there, I can do it, I can get there, I can do it, I can get there, I can do it. Never give up and always understand that you have someone there for you. You may not even think someone's there for you because you're lost in your, maybe you're lost in, maybe you have, attention deficit hyperactive disorder. You can't sit still, or you always got to be doing something, or maybe someone that's very depressed, and your life isn't super happy all the time. It's not, everything's dark, and but you try to be more and to grow out of that. um, I had my own depression at one time. I believe people are always there to save me. Um, because someone said I saved them one time. I just happened to be my best friend in the entire world. Uh, Giving a shout out, John. I love you, bro. I'm not gonna say no homo because that's just a weird thing. But anyway, he is my best friend. He is like my brother. We grew up. We went through a lot of things in life. We went through our transitions times in lives. We went through our marriages together. Now we're encroaching 50, and we're like, "Are you kidding me?" My world isn't that bad. I make around $60,000 an hour. Strike that from the record. All right. What what I really want to bring to the table is understanding, help, and a little bit of tech fun, and a little bit of family fun. That to me is bringing the family environment is probably one of the top roles. Um, so me myself, uh, if anyone does decide they want to follow me and join my YouTube, and I have a couple other things on YouTube, please come and like and learn about me more. Uh, what I want you guys to do is basically, if you to your YouTube, go into your YouTube. It's nothing. Hold on. I'm going to click here a little bit. See what happens. Sorry about that. Once you go to YouTube, the channel that you want to go to and this will have my podcast as well. All right, guys. Now is the time in the episode where I need to go ahead and let you know all the cool stuff. So if you want to get at me, my handle on YouTube is at landscapes dot of dot technology. Yes, I know it's super long, but this is how I roll. We are we're not always simple, but we are always to the point. This is what we do. This is who we are. Everybody, so we're about a little over 30 minutes in. Um, and I just wanted to tell everybody thank you for listening. And we'll continue this episode later. So we're going to dub and name this episode Discovery. And this is Discovery Part 1.